You were in the horse cavalry.
Yes, I was. I volunteered for the service. The draft started, in 1940, and my number was pretty low. So I decided to volunteer. They told me I could have what I wanted if I volunteered. Well, I volunteered. I was inducted into service in February 27th in Omaha, and then was transported to Leavenworth, Kansas, and I thought, well, I'd get what I wanted. I volunteered to be a mechanic. I ended up at Camp Funston, Kansas in the 2nd Cavalry Division, riding horses.
That one, it must have been one of the few horse battalions left, right?
Yeah, it was. And it was a regular army that I went into, and which I didn't know I was getting into, But volunteered. After that, I learned not to volunteer. Almost a year and a half I was in the horses. We went on maneuvers in Louisiana the first fall, and then after Pearl Harbor, we were shipped to Tucson, Arizona, out in the desert, and our division more or less guarded the Mexican border for 6 months. When they decided to demobilize the cavalry, why we went into the 9th Armored Division, which was a tank outfit, and I was assigned to the light tank outfit.
Did you think about the danger when you became a tank commander?
Oh, no, I don't think I did. If I would have, I'd have probably stayed back in maintenance. Yeah, because when we went overseas, why, we were on the front lines, and that wasn't so good.
Tell me about going overseas.
Well, we went to New York City. We got on the Queen Mary, which was, a luxury liner, England's ship. It was a big one. And took us 4 days to cross. We was stationed there until about the last part of November, until D-Day. And we crossed the English Channel. We landed in France, and we went into Belgium, and we got into combat about the 10th, 12th, in there someplace of December. I didn't last too long in combat. On December 20th, we traveled down one road, and I was the 3rd tank, and they decided not to go that road, so we had to, and I was the last tank too, by the way. They said we should make a turnabout and take another road, so then I was the lead tank, and I was a sitting duck, and we went and took another road, and I was supposed to see over a knoll what was on the other side. Well, we was traveling very slow, probably a mile an hour, and they hit our tank. And
With another tank hit your tank?
well, no, it was a bazooka back in the trees. This was all wooded area. All you could do is just go down the roads. I mean, they were just wide enough for vehicles to go. And they hit our tank, and the driver and assistant driver were hit. It was an automatic tank, automatic transmission, and we went down, kept going. I mean, in fact, when he slumped down, why, he stepped on the foot feed, and I imagine we got into enemy territory about 400 yards at least that far, and we hit a tree and finally stopped us, and we was going to try to turn around, but I don't think we ever could have. And, we was a little excited too, I'm sure. We decided to try to get back because there's no help for the gunner was okay too. And so the two of us started back, and we didn't make it. They
Started back on foot?
They caught us. We didn't have a chance.
What were the Germans like when they captured you?
They were SS troops, which they told us before we went into battle that they were the worst ones. If you got hooked up with them, why, you just well kiss it goodbye. You wouldn't live through it. But really, believe it or not, they were very nice to us. They really were. Afterwards, it wasn't that good. But I mean, the day we was captured, they were good enough to us. You know, they didn't mistreat us or anything. Of course, they interrogated us, you know, and all we'd ever give them was our name, rank, and serial number. As far as rank, they knew. The outfit they knew because we had patches on our clothes. See? Yeah. So the only thing they didn't know was our name, really. The night we was captured about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they took us to a house, and we stayed there all night. And of course, it was their headquarters too, and our artillery fired all night trying to hit the house, but never did. So we was lucky on that. And then the next day, while we was walked back into Germany, see, this happened at St. Vith, which is that was just right along the Belgium-German line is where we was at. Mm-hmm. And we met up with different prisoners, and then they walked us to Camp 4B. That was the first camp that we was in, as barracks and stuff. Mm-hmm. We was there a couple of days, and that's where they brought all the prisoners in. And right at that time, there was a lot of prisoners taken. There really was. Mm-hmm. And there was probably, I would say around 200, 150 to 200 in the group then. And we walked most of the time. They said we walked about 400 miles.
Oh, really?
In the 4 months.
So they just kept moving you from one place to another?
Well, yeah, because our troops were coming up, you see, and the Russians were coming, and so they had to keep moving us all the time. We were locked up in a boxcar for 5 days and 5 nights one time. We didn't move any place, but we didn't eat either for those days. And
you didn't eat for 5 days?
That's right, 5 days and 5 nights.
Did they give you water? They must have given you water.
We didn't have water, we didn't have nothing. And there was about 80 of us in a boxcar, and those boxcars, not boxcars, cattle cars really, they was open. And we didn't get any water or anything. We couldn't even lay down, you know, because there wasn't room, because those cars are a lot smaller than ours.
How do you survive?
Well, I always figured, I guess if the other guy could, I could too. There was a couple of guys that didn't make it, but most of us did, really. Well, we was toughened into it, you know, a lot. And you can live longer than you think without anything. After you're so hungry, you're not hungry, you know. So I weighed 96 pounds when I got out.
How much did you weigh before you went in?
About 175, 80 pounds. Mm-hmm.
You lost half your weight.
I lost half of my weight, that's right. Uh-huh. We had one Red Cross partial. See, we were supposed to get that every week, a Red Cross partial, but we got one in the 4 months. The 4 of us had to divide, and usually that 2 divided, but there was 4 of us. But outside of that, the Germans give us broth and a little horse meat in it, and we knew it was horse meat because it's real stringy and red, you know. Mm-hmm. And we got a bowl of that a day, and then part of a loaf of bread about that wide, you know. And that's what we ate once a day. I don't know how many men we lost walking, you know. They just couldn't go. They was just done. Whatever happened to them, we don't know. I always figured if the guy ahead of me could keep it going, I could too. And I guess that's what brought me. And my faith, I think, brought me through it too. We were probably almost as in much danger on the average behind the lines as we were on the front lines. We were strafed, we were bombed. I think they might have known we were there because they'd either strafe in front of us or in back of us. They never did strafe us. Bombing, there was one time that we was at walking, and we was on a bridge. It was a pretty good sized bridge. And the American planes come over. Of course, they was clear up in the air. And we looked up and they dropped bombs. And you could, they looked like they was straight up. But they missed us enough that nobody got hurt. There was dirt and stuff that flew and hit us and stuff, you know. But we were bombed and strafed just quite a few times.
What do you think? What do you feel when you see that coming?
Really, I can't tell you. It comes and goes so fast that it's over with, you know. You just pray and hope that it won't happen again. So we was in boxcars, and we weren't locked up that time. They'd put us on boxcars going to move us, but they couldn't move us. You know, there was no place to go. And the British come along, and they knocked out the engine, and they hit the first two cars, and we lost a lot of guys that day. And I happened to be in the third car, so I was lucky. So I was, you know, I lucked out more than once. The British come and liberated us. I guess we had a good feeling. We was really happy when they come in. The Germans never give any resistance at all at our camp. Of course, most of those guys were 50, 60, 70 years old guarding us, you know. So they didn't want to fight any more than we did, you know. And they were glad when our troops had come along, really. They really were. I was captured on December 20th, and I was liberated, I think it was April or May. It was 4 months, the 16th.
Your gunner was the other one who survived the tank?
Right. George Kelly was his name.
Did you guys stay together through this?
Yeah, we did, yeah, until I got sick. Actually, the Red Cross come in and fed us too much, you know. What you do when you haven't eaten for 4 months, why, to amount to anything, why, some of us ate too much, and I got dysentery, and I just couldn't make it any farther. And so we got parted then, and he went back a little earlier than I did.
Do you miss your other crew members?
Yeah, I missed those real bad because I was pretty good buddy to the driver. So I missed him real bad. Of course, George, he was there, you know, and he was from Kansas City. After the service, we had quite a few reunions. Our outfit did, our division. And so I got to see George for quite a few times after I got out of service.